What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and it is time for a new segment. I guess we'll call it reviews? It's time for a review. That means tech reviews, game reviews, initial impressions, looking at the hype. This is anything that we both have our hands on, don't yet have our hands on, but are looking forward to it, or things that we've spent huge amounts of time with, and it's time to talk about them with you. So what's up for today? Messing around with these kind of opening segments that I want to use for repeated things we do around here. Let me know in the comments below which ones you like, which ones you don't, what you'd like to see more of. We're just trying things out here. I don't know. But today we are talking about Dragon Quest Builders. Dragon Quest having been pushed on the Switch, we're seeing things like Dark Souls get pushed on the Switch. There's a theme here with Nintendo about things not getting delivered on time. So we've been promised things like Kingdom Hearts this year and things like that. And I would encourage you, when looking at hype around Nintendo, until we have a longer track record with a series of platforms that are on time, to maybe not view this year as necessary such a literal calendar thing. Doesn't have to say 2018. This year might mean sometime in the next 14 months or something. But Dragon Quest Builders is a game brought to us, and hopefully it'll hold us over looking forward to Dragon Quest, but it's from the same family, but it's in a little bit different style. So I'm going to overlap some game footage coming in from right here. And what we're looking at here is just some early footage from basically pretty early on. You've just got your first kind of village unlocked, not too spoilerific, but this is going to kind of show you a little bit about the texture of the game. Maybe we'll flash to some combat here in a second. And honestly, what we're looking at is a top-down builder-style game. It's open sandbox, kind of like Minecraft. There's a crafting system, kind of like Minecraft. But you've got a better, more unique kind of top-down, handheld, very Nintendo, Square Enix-esque slasher. Nothing that we're not familiar with. The inventory items are great like that. And one of the problems with open sandbox games like Minecraft is that it's so open-ended that people can feel lost in it and they can say they're bored. And all I can picture is my dad saying only boring people get bored. But it is true that sometimes in these open sandbox games, that without an objective or a central goal, that it is easy to kind of run around and wonder, okay, well, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? What is it that would be amazing if I could achieve? And what's going to drive me to get there? What reward am I going to get at the end if the game doesn't build that in for me? And so this game actually does a better job compared to other building games in similar genres of carrying you along. It has quests, it ranks kind of the quality of your village, and so as you continue to build things and add on, you're kind of moving through a tech tree, you're moving through a size building and a village, you're kind of going into different sections and fighting new and different mobs, and you're gonna have to kind of unlock the different tech along the way. So what this game does well, I would say that, the scenery is beautiful, the storyline is immersive enough, the building is creative and definitely encourages you to think bigger and is very fun. It does a great job of holding your hand just enough that you're not going to feel lost, and I feel confident that somebody who's never played a style of game like this, that it was definitely slow enough in small bite-sized chunks that somebody would have been able to grasp exactly what you're doing and kind of how each step works. The downside is the Nintendo Switch kind of hurts your hand. Building like this is not as natural as, say, Minecraft, since that's the game that's most logical to compare to the building side of this. The way Minecraft feels on a keyboard and mouse game. The combat feels a little bit flat, at least early game. I have not beaten this game yet, so it is possible that it gets more interesting, but the combat can feel a little bit flat to anybody who has played a large number of Zelda or other style RPG games where you're facing things kind of all the time. Gathering resources from the world can be a little bit tedious if you're not used to a resource gathering game. What I would most say is inconvenient is the building interface. The building interface is just not natural with this style. You want to have like a touch screen. You want to just reach out and touch it, and when you build something in the wrong spot, you have to kind of break it and replace it, and that can be kind of tedious and kind of frustrating. Overall, I would say that this game best targets people who are looking for something to dump countless hours into and don't really need a large reward. Maybe they're not having easy access to, online play where they can play with other people. There is supposed to to be a multiplayer version of this down the road, but for now, I've been enjoying this entirely solo, and that's been plenty good for me. Somebody who, you know, either has a kid or you spend a lot of time in places like airports or something like that, where you just kind of want to sit in a corner and play the game until your batteries go dead. I would say that who this game is not for is anybody that is expecting constant action-packed. They looked at Dragon Quest in the name and they're expecting it to be much more adventure and much less builder. I would say that this is definitely Dragon Quest builders, right? So it's half Dragon Quest, half builders. And so I would encourage you to remind that when you're looking at the pacing of the game. When looking at the Nintendo Switch and the lineup that has been out on the Switch so far, it is incredibly strong. So this game has stiff competition. So when looking at whether or not I would buy this game just based off of my initial impression and the, you know, dozen or 2 dozen or whatever hours I've put into it up to this point, I would say that this game is definitely going to last long enough that I can get my value out of it, kind of the cost of that game, even though I kind of bought it at full price, and down the road I'm sure people will have the option to buy things cheaper because that's how video games work. And so I would say, you know, this game is definitely worth owning if you already feel you've plowed through the AAA titles that best cater to you. So if you're looking for an adventure style game, you should have Mario and Zelda before this one. But if you've already beaten those and you're wondering what's next, this is a great one to compare to kind of what I would consider that B tier of games. Compare that to things like the Lego Undercover game, things like that, that are a whole lot of fun, but are not going to deliver that absolutely AAA experience that is worth all the drama that surrounds them. Who I would say this game is not for is somebody that's looking for a well-developed achievement system, a very entrenched, difficult combat system that's going to challenge them, or are looking for a game that's going to just dump them into a truly open sandbox, because the number of tutorials and videos and quests along the way are absolutely there to guide you, and they really are not set up in a way that you can ignore them for very long. Trust me, I tried. I think that overall this is a game that I would definitely want to play if a friend had, and get a feel for it and get a feel for the pace and the control scheme and see if this is something that hooks you. Otherwise, it's worth purchasing, especially if you're not paying full price. But if you are somebody who owns a Nintendo Switch, which is a fantastic console, I would say that, you know, kind of one of the things I would encourage you in thinking about this game is, are you truly loyal to Dragon Quest and you want to support this developer and this franchise and things like that? Does this sound like a kind of game that me just describing it and showing you a little gameplay absolutely excites you? Or is this something that, you know, you're still kind of on the fence about? If you're on the fence, I would hold off until you have played at least the majority of the AAA big titles that most cater to you. And so I'm looking at things like Splatoon, Mario Kart, we're going to get Smash Brothers at some point, we're going to get a Pokemon game, Zelda. These are big games with huge followings, and I would say Dragon Quest is kind of one step below that. Like I said, alongside your Lego games and things like that, very successful franchises, worth getting into, a ton of fun no matter what any reviewer says. Just make sure it's the game for you. So if you have any questions about the game, anything about how I'm liking it, or, you know, things like that, because obviously this video is not updating in real time, so as I continue to put hours into it and my opinion matures, at some point down the road, if it's different enough, I'll be coming out with a second piece to this video. But this one is true. This one stays true to how I feel early in the game and how I would think somebody else would feel early in the game. And so I do look forward to one day beating it, but there is a chance, like anything else with such a great 2018 in front of us, that this game falls into the pile of shame, and I hope that's not the case, where there's that whole list of games that you just never make it to the final cap of. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the game if you have it, you know, kind of any questions you have, and definitely I'll do my best to get right back to you. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time. We really appreciate you watching. We really do. Really appreciate you watching. We really do. A 30-second end screen is so long. I don't know how to fill all this time.